All right, so we're gonna start with the NFL scores. Like we said a couple weeks ago, we're gonna just focus on our teams. Tyler's not here, but we will call out that his Eagles did win 22-16 over Carolina. That's a little bit closer than you'd like from a game
Barely.
against Carolina. But you know that it is what it is. They get their job done. They're 11-2. They're in the driver's seat for the NFC East,
Yeah.
and they're right there. They're right in the mix with the Lions for top of the NFC. So if the Lions stumble at any point, they're right there. So that brings us to our teams. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I'll rip the
All right.
Band-Aid off.
The Raiders did
I
lose
couldn't
28-13
I
to
couldn't
the
even finish the
Buccaneers
game, Vince.
in the the Pirate Bowl.
Yeah, I got to the Aiden O'Connell injury, and then
Ooh,
I'm done. I'm out.
yeah.
Like, I didn't think I don't I think Aiden O'Connell at this time he showed the ability that he could. You don't know what he is. You your draft pick where you're taken in the draft doesn't mean anything. Um, he was taken in the fourth round, I believe. He has some skill. He last week he looked pretty damn good. He looked pretty good against the Chiefs a few times in his short career, as he's only in his second season. But he showed some promise. Showed some flash. Were you going to center the franchise around Aiden O'Connell going into next year? No, you're probably still drafting a quarterback. Maybe you're looking into free agency to get a good veteran in. It was just painful to see him go down because he was flashing a little bit. And see what you get, see what you have. You feel bad for the young man. Um, I just think this team is not good enough. The roster's not good enough. The offseason issues of the past are snake biting this team. Um, your identity was we want to run the ball, and then you let Josh Jacobs walk in free agency, and look at
Yeah.
what he's done in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Um,
He was clearly not washed yet.
right, and even if you were worried about giving him a multi-year deal, everybody knows in the NFL it's a 1 year deal. You could have
Yeah.
brought him back, and how is that going to hurt Aiden O'Connell or even Gardner Minshew handing that ball off? Hypothetically, if you were going to, if Michael Penix did fall to you, is it going to hurt Michael Penix or insert rookie quarterback to have Josh Jacobs or not have Josh Jacobs? Like, that was your identity. You wanted to run the ball. You can't do that. I have to say, offensively, they do look better under the Turner family as the Raiders turn a new leaf here.
Right.
Um,
Just for reference, Josh Jacobs' contract that he signed with Green Bay was 4 years, 48 million. So I mean, I don't think the Raiders wanted to do 4 years or 48 million. That's the problem. So I don't think he was coming back, even if they offered like a 3 year deal, for maybe a little bit more money. Like if they gave him like 3 years and he's getting 12 million a year. If they gave him 3 years, 13.5 million instead per year. I don't know if he does that anyway. I think he wants the 4 years, 48. But yeah, okay.
if I'm the Raiders, I would have done it. I would have done it.
Oh, I would
Um,
have too. But I'm
I would
saying
have
I
done
don't
it.
think I don't think the Raiders as they are right now. I don't think they do it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Obviously not.
clearly not. You know.
But to not even, to put your eggs in the basket of the Zamir White and whatever this running back room was obviously not a good decision. Um, I don't. You guys were asking me over the weekend about prime time coming over to the Raiders. I feel like it would be so on brand of the Raiders to hire Deion Sanders to be the next head coach.
Hmm.
Like, I could see Mark Davis like selling himself on the idea of prime time in Las Vegas, Shador Sanders and Shiloh Sanders, like the whole Sanders TV show in Las Vegas.
Hmm.
Oh my God! Talk
At
about
least
how much money the Raiders would make, even if they
yeah,
lose.
the
Even if they
sideshow
lose,
itself. Yeah.
I'm terrified that's what's going to happen, Vince. I do feel like if Antonio Pierce is fired, and I don't think they may not fire him. I think they're looking at it as this is really his rookie year. He didn't really have a quarterback, no matter how you cut it. Offensive coordinator Luke Getzey clearly wasn't his top choice. I think it's going to get him another year. If he is fired, I could see the Raiders doing the Sanders thing, but I could also see clearly connect the dots to Mike Vrabel. Um,
Mhm.
but that's
Eh,
not an
They
exciting pick.
no, they keep Mark Davis keeps going to the old Patriots watering hole there. The former Patriots coaches and players, and I mean Tom Brady's in the ownership group now too. So there's another
Yep,
connection right there. I could
absolutely,
I think Vrabel would be the yeah, like you said, it's not the flashy hire, but I think that's the more sensible hire probably if you're
absolutely,
comparing uh prime time, versus Mike Vrabel. Obviously, Vrabel's not going to put butts in seats. Sanders will,
absolutely,
but
absolutely. Well, in closing on the Raiders, it's it's the race to the number one pick right now. They're in the lead for the number one pick. Carolina, they're right on the outside at number three. But I think even if you're Carolina, I think you're going into next year with Brees Young.
yeah,
I think
Bryce
you're
Young,
going
yeah,
to.
he's
He looks pretty good,
yeah, he's actually flashed, you know.
right?
And that's what I've talked about the last couple of weeks. I want to see the rookies, second year players. I need to see a flash. I need to
Right.
show that you're capable of doing big things at this level at the NFL. And he's certainly like last year it did not look good at all, but this year there's been a couple of moments like okay, I could there's something here maybe, we'll see how this season closes out for him and what happens in the off season, what coach gets
Yeah.
there if they stick with Dave Canales. Do they change anything on the offense?
Right.
All those other questions while your dog's fight in the background.
They're arguing over to fire Antonio Pierce or to bring him back. So
Right. Okay. I yeah.
uh,
Big questions
yeah, that's one
at
thing I
dog
have to
level.
say. The Raiders, I do like some of their draft picks this past season. That some of them are flashing. Brock Bowers, we beat that horse to death. Of you got potentially the best player in the draft as far as like just a score. Who was the best
Hmm.
football player? What he can
Yeah.
do offensively, and he's showing that. So I think doubters are now believers that you got a huge piece on this offense now. You got to get the quarterback. So hopefully, I I personally would like to see Antonio Pierce come back and at least get one more year. And I know that's painful, but you got to have some stability. You got to have some continuity. And
Hmm.
this would only be the second year with Telesco as the GM. Say what you we made the jokes about the Raiders spanking the Chargers, and then Mark Davis saying, that's my GM. We just beat him by 70 points. Let me get that guy. But if you look at the Chargers right now, all that roster had Tom Telesco's fingerprints all over it. And
Oh yeah.
Harbaugh is just, he's a really good head coach. But that identity was in a very similar concept to what Harbaugh wanted to run. For whatever reason, the Chargers couldn't get it done. And but a lot of the players that Telesco drafted are still with the Chargers. He got the quarterback, Vince. He got the quarterback there, and you can like him or not like him, but he seems to be looking pretty good this year.
Yeah, totally.
49er
So
land.
yeah, yeah, a big win, 38-13 over the Chicago Bears. The Niners are 6 wins, 7 losses. Their next game is coming up this Thursday night game at home against the Rams. So the Rams are coming into town. It's a division rival game, and so I last week I said that there's a situation, there is a world where the Niners win the next 2 games, get to 500, and then lose the last 3 and fall to 7-10. And these injuries are certainly trying to make it happen. They're trying to make me look like the goddamn Oracle again. How many times have I been on this show where I say something, it happens, and then we come on the next week and go, I am the goddamn Oracle. You know, how often does it happen? Too often. I can't. I don't even like. There's no room on the wall to keep marking the tallies. Like the wall is covered in tally marks. I keep doing it, and here it goes again. Like uh, we'll see. We'll see what happens this coming Thursday. But Isaac Garendo had a hell of a game. His like, his first game as the starter. He's fast. He's fucking fast. I knew that this was a possibility,
Hey,
especially with the Shanahan offensive scheme. The way running backs work, like he does grind up running backs, but if you're fast and you're able to stay healthy, you can put up some massive, massive numbers. And that's what he did right up until he had the ankle injury, it sounds like. And it's day to day. He's questionable for Thursday. It's a sprain. I don't know, man. I think we're gonna be down to our like seventh string running back at this point. It's
yeah,
so I don't love that. Some just a couple of cool moments from the Niners game though. George Kittle in that game, he became the third tight end in NFL history to get 500 receptions and 7,000 receiving yards in his first 8 years. Um, the other two players that have done that are, a couple of nobodies named Antonio Gates and Travis Kelsey. You know,
garbage.
so yeah, basura. Both. No, I mean so obviously George Kittle's a stud. We know that, and he's gonna play until he can't, and then he'll be injured for the next 4 weeks, and then he'll be able to play again, and he'll play. He plays at 100, at all times, every time, and Jawan Jennings had another hell of a day as well, couple of touchdowns, and uh, Debo, god damn, Debo is just it is not his year, man. It really is.
Yeah,
He had he had one catch early. I was like, okay, all right, and then that was basically it from him.
yeah.
Well, so I mean, it's just it's been a bad year for Debo overall, and he knows it. And I mean, everybody knows it. Shanahan, the play calling is it, he's calling a lot of the same stuff he normally calls when the players are getting those yards after catch that we talked about. They're not getting that this year. They were first in yards after contact last year. They're dead last this year, and they have been all year.
Yeah.
And it's not changing. And unfortunately, I think Shanahan, like the offense is almost reliant on those players making plays after they get that first contact. But they're just not
I
doing
think
it
that's
this
what's
year.
concerning though, right, Vince? That
Mhm.
that like, Shanahan is supposed to be this offensive guru, and then you see, I mean, I know the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, and Kelsey's not the same player. You can see but he's still having, he's still making big catches. It's not the same season, but the Chiefs, Andy Reid always has this offense in it, and they're finding ways
Mhm.
to win
Yeah.
offensively, even though no player, Patrick Mahomes, is not having a career year, but
No,
they're
yeah.
still really good. You can kind of look around. I mean, Ben Johnson in the Detroit Lions. I mean, they're doing it with Jared Goff. you
Yeah.
know? So
I mean,
you Sam Darnold, the Vikings. I mean, they got some key players, but it's not supposed to be Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers.
right. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's
so you can
just
look
it
around the league that these guys are dialing it up
mhm.
without key
Yeah.
players
Yeah,
themselves.
and so I mean, I gotta wonder, are the plays that he has that don't necessarily require yards after contact, are they just like do they not have the personnel to run those plays, I mean,
Right.
I don't know. Jawan Jennings is not really much of a yards after contact guy. They call him third and Jawan because on third down and 7, he goes out 9 yards, turns around, comes back one and catches it, and there's your first down. Like he's
Vince,
not doing much after, but yeah.
I got a two-part question for you. Scenario
Okay.
one,
Okay.
if you go full Oracle now, where
Okay.
they
And
get
they
to
finished
500,
7-10. Yeah.
where do the 49ers go from here? And you have to start with the head coach and the GM.
Um,
If you finish
they're both
7-10,
staying.
where do you
the,
think that they're staying?
they're both staying. No, there's no hot seat. And I think it's ridiculous to try to put one on them this soon. Like this is this is the first time that they've had like a extended rough season since 2020 when literally again that was the year after the Super Bowl when all the injuries basically took them completely out of it. Um
If
so
it
so
was
I
I
think
agree with you. I think if it
this
was
is
up to me, I'm
yeah.
probably, running it back for
Yeah.
at least another year to see,
Exactly.
what
Yeah, yeah.
happens.
So it then it comes down to who are you keeping because you have to start making some money decisions to pay Brock. You know, Brock is on that rookie contract,
Right.
and it's been very beneficial, especially because he's a a seventh round pick. Excuse me. Um, but now that it's time to start paying him, and quarterbacks make a whole hell of a lot more money, and I think with his when he was out injured and we saw just how shitty Brandon Allen was, I think it almost proved the point that it's not just the system. You know, like it is Brock doing extra things within the system to make it that much better. I think Brock has earned his paycheck this year if he hadn't already earned it the last the last couple of seasons taking
Absolutely.
over. You know, I think they're staying put and they're gonna try to run it back and nip and tuck where they need to on the money side, convert some salary to signing bonus, make as much things work as possible. Maybe somebody like Javon Hargrave ends up being a cap casualty. I could see uh Brandon Ayuk is going to end up staying because they're not going to they literally just paid him and they're not going to cut him back at all. But maybe Debo ends up being a cap casualty as well. Ricky Pearsall needs to flash as well. I said it last week. I need to see signs of life out of him. Otherwise, that's another wasted first round pick. Between him and Trey Lance. So
He had
the Niners have
the
been
one big game, and that was kinda it.
yeah. I mean, and that was more was it really that big even though like I mean like not really it was fine
Yeah, he
but yeah
caught a
yeah
touchdown
kind of
or something.
it was a touchdown it was great
Yeah.
love to see that from the kid but outside of that like I need what I need from him is I need like a 7 catches for 85 yards and a tug like I need a game like that
I guess that's kind of my
something like that.
question though, Vince, is like you would think that Pearsall with his young man athletic ability and even Debo and Kittle and
Hmm. You'd think there'd be enough there.
Shanahan's not scheming guys open, right? We hear that term scheming guys open where we're not really it's kind of funny that we're harping on this when they
Yeah,
won. But I mean, do you feel confident in the 49ers, or is that
I
a
feel more
team that put their neck on a Chicago Bears team that just fired their coach and
well,
all of this
well,
stuff?
I'm confident in that they're capable of winning the games against the easy opponent. Like obviously they're still doing that. There's still enough talent on this roster that they can
Right.
do that. Um, I just think this is not the year. Like there's just things happening, like all these injuries. Bosa, like he acted a fool and was like on national TV, and then he hasn't been able to play since. Like for example, like just little like a whole bunch of shit like the horribleness that happened to Trent Williams and his family like
Yeah.
and Charvarius Ward before that so like if it's not injuries it's personal things whether they're self-inflicted or Thor, Zeus, Jesus, whoever like putting hardships on people it's just not been good like for on and off the field for the Niners and the fact that they're 6-7 right now is kind of almost a testament to how good the system is like they're still able to get 6 wins out of this like just where a lot of teams I think we're looking at a 3-win season like there's probably 3 less wins under lesser coaches and whatnot so I think there's still meat on the bone for this, and I think you do run it back next year. And I'm not even worried if they end up losing the last 3 games of the year. Like that's fine. All that's really going to do is give you a better draft position. You'll be picking I don't know 12th instead of 16th. You know, So yeah, I'm not worrying about how the season ends at this point. I honestly am kind of over it. I guess like it's fine. I've embraced the fact that this is not happening this year. Like they're mid. That's what they are. They're mid this year. You know, it is what it is.
They're mid. I accept it. They're
I
mid.
embrace the mid.
Just
Um,
somewhere in the mid.
yeah, yeah, that's right. You know,
That's hilarious. Here's Papa G. So not the 49ers year. I mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. The loss against the Packers, it was really bad, and that would have been my panic alarm. But I was in Disney, so couldn't panic. I was having the time of my life eating a fluffernutter churro, which if you haven't had, oh my god, the marshmallow and the peanut butter and the chocolate chips that melted because the churro's hot. Oh, it was so fucking perfect. Loved it. So I was having that instead of worrying about the Niners season going down the drain. They lose in the snow, like in that snow bowl in Buffalo. And there's your season. That's it. So I was like, so I came in last week like all relaxed. This is week 2 of Vinny just it's fine. It's all good. Doesn't matter. Win, lose, whatever. It's fine. It's not the year. We're moving
still
on.
thinking about
We're
that churro.
we're just trying to get healthy. I'm thinking about that churro. Every now and then, like there was a burrito shop that I when I lived in San Diego that was like right across the street from me that I kind of want to. So I'm gonna start dreaming about that too when I'm not dreaming about the churro. You know, it's great. I'm just gonna move on to the food dreams.
Right on, man. Right on.
um, yeah. So it's to recap, it's not the year. It's fine that it's not the year, and everybody's coming back. We're gonna run it back next year. And if a lot of this stuff starts happening again next year, that's when it's time to start looking at player changes. Shanahan's a really good coach. We know he's a good coach. He's like we've seen the work. We just need to make sure that we get the right players in place. If Debo can bounce back, that's great. If he can't bounce back, then maybe he ends up being traded or cut or something. I'm sure they'll work something out. Salary cap is like it's something that a lot of people talk about, but it ends up not really being a thing. You think about what the Chiefs are doing right now, or what the Rams or what the Patriots used to do when Tom Brady was around there. Like just like they always had enough money. They were always able to make it work. Somebody took a little bit of a pay cut here, somebody to pay for somebody else, and then a couple years later, that person took a pay cut to
Yeah.
make the next one work. It all ends up working out in the end for the money stuff. So I'm not terribly worried about it. There's going to be a cap casualty or two in the mix. That's fine. It is what it is. Sign me up for next year because I'm done with this one.
All right, man. Some final news and notes.
Yep.
Aziz Al Shair has been suspended for 3 games for overly aggressive hit on Trevor Lawrence. We knew something was happening.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the conversation that it opened up about, quarterbacks being a runner and diving late. Because we see Patrick Mahomes primarily, he does that a lot. And
Hmm.
a lot of quarterbacks do it. I would say majority of the league does it.
Yeah.
And we heard from Peyton Manning and other Tom Brady and other quarterbacks talk about this, where they're sliding late. They're putting themselves also in a position to
Mhm.
get
I,
drilled.
I like that Tua is starting to slide a little early now, though.
Yeah,
Like, only took 7 times to learn that lesson. But
and
yeah,
hopefully it sticks. Like hopefully,
yeah,
but quarterbacks, when you're a runner and you start to give yourself up, you can't do the old. To me, the rule should be once you initiate, like you start to slide for a quarterback, like you're down, like you're
mhm,
down. So I don't know. Maybe there's some type of, like a
it
fair
ma-
catch. Like
yeah,
you put your hand up. I'm done. You
mhm.
know?
Yeah.
um,
Somebody just hit there's got to be like an eject button or something. You just like,
right.
huh?
Our old friend Derek Carr with the New Orleans Saints fractured his hand and is expected to miss the remainder of the season. He is definitely getting cut from the Saints, and he's probably going to end up with the Raiders. you know, like I'm telling you, man.
They need a
Stop.
veteran to like,
So,
to start the
dude,
season, man.
I could see it, man. You don't fire Antonio Pierce. You have the Turners as your offensive coordinator. Um, you still draft a quarterback, or maybe you take the best player available and you bring him back. It's so on brand for the Raiders to do this, to bring
Mhm.
back their own reclamation project.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Add
Panthers
add to his
running back.
franchise leading statistics too. Start padding
Sure,
those in a little bit
might
for
as well.
yeah, whatever.
Panthers running back Jonathan Brooks retore his ACL, so
It's the
very
right one. It's the same one that kept him out for the most of this season before he started playing again. And then it's just non-contact. I saw that the replay happen. I was like, ooh, and
yeah,
yeah,
it's
not good.
really sad.
Yeah.
So
Good thing they paid
hopefully,
Chuba Hubbard, so they at least have their own version of an answer at running back for now.
right?
You know,
Shout out whoever had him in fantasy football.
right?